Hey guys, Ben Diesel here, and just want to do another video. Actually, I try to do a video once every other year or something like that for my birthday, just to say thank you and all that. But before I do, let me show you something really cool. So look at this. This is from my nieces and nephews. They got me, instead of flowers, they got me this thing that's got, little bottles of liquor. Not that I recommend drinking, and I'm a little suspect because these kids aren't even 21, so I have no idea how they got this. I think the man actually stole it. But if they did, as long as they didn't get caught, that's fine. So let's talk about how it is now that I'm getting older and what it means, right? So first of all, I realized that the older you get, they say your credit's supposed to improve. I don't find that to be true at all. Nuh-uh. I'm still working on my credit. And then they also say that the older you get, you're supposed to be able to find your identity and know what you want to do and know what you want to become and all this other stuff. That's definitely not true. In fact, I'll tell you exactly stages of my life where I had an identity crisis. Let's go back to Salina, Kansas. You guys know who you are. I grew up with you guys from Salina, Kansas. Small town, 40,000. I don't even know how many people there are at this point. There might be 50,000 at this point. So when I left, they had a Sam's Club. I actually worked there too. So, first grade, it's funny because like first grade back then is so much different than now. Like every time I see kids go to school now, there's like photos, first day of school, everyone's excited and it's awesome and the parents are so proud. My recollection of first grade was, get your ass on the bus, boy. And that's my parents, by the way. But that's a better version of their English because back then their English was not that good. So I'd go to school and then I'd come home and I would be like, Mom, Dad, Bama, am I Chinese? 5 kids asked me if I'm Chinese. And I'd be like, ba, con là người Tàu đấy, người gì, người Việt Nam hay người gì? And my dad be like, you are Vietnamese, man. And I'm like, why would these kids ask if I'm Chinese? That makes no sense. Why would they lie to me? There's like 5 or 6 of them that asked if I'm Chinese. But you both have all the reason to lie to me because I don't look like either one of you. So either I'm adopted, you're lying to me, or they're telling me the truth. So what is it? So that was my first episode of identity crisis because I wasn't sure if I was Chinese or Vietnamese or whatever it was, right? So then on top of that, you go to school, you take these tests, and then you fill out the Scantron. I'm kind of dating myself because I don't even know if they use that nowadays with technology. They probably just use iPad to take tests. So if you're like me, you can fill your name out on one Scantron. But if you're like my boy Anasan Bonunsavan, it's like he has to fill out 2 Scantrons for his first name and last name because there's so many damn letters. And then on the Scantron, they'll be like, are you a Pacific Islander? Or are you Asian American? And that was pretty confusing too because I didn't really know for sure. So I'd always put I would mark E and then right next to it, I put the word confused and I check that box every damn time. Every time there was a question like, are you Asian, Pacific Islander, or Asian American? I just put confused, I don't know. Because really, I don't know. I mean, really, was Adam and Eve Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese? Who knows? I mean, majority of the world is like Asian, so I'm pretty sure Adam and Eve is Asian, some Asian descent. I'm pretty sure. You can fact check it, you can do whatever, Ancestry.com. We'll figure it out one day. So that's that. And then, let's see, when was my second identity crisis? My second identity crisis probably happened when I worked, one of my first few jobs, I worked with my boy Brett Eller's brother, Justin Eller. Justin, remember? We worked at Gutierrez Mexican restaurant. So you start as a busser, right? And I thought hey, if I start a busser, maybe I can get promoted to this position and be a server or waiter, something that will look on your resume or something like that. But it didn't happen that way. I went from a busser to being thrown in the kitchen because everyone at the restaurant, like the cooks they would never show up to work apparently. I guess, I don't know why. They just never showed up to work, so I got tossed in the kitchen. And then I worked there and I worked with, I think it was Jose. I mean, I'm not being seriously, his name was Jose. From what I remember, I don't even know his last name, but his name was Jose. So I know what you can say. You're like, that's all racist. Hey, I'm telling you the truth, okay? From what I recall, what I recollect, his name was Jose. So I would work with him, and he didn't speak good English, but we were like a good team. We would communicate by, like hands, and be like this, like, beans or whatever it was, right? And then I became like the head cook. And then sometimes we would have customers that would be like, hey, I need to talk to the chef. So I'm like, okay, why do they want to talk to me? So I'd come out there, and they'll be like, you call this a tostada? And of course, I got to back up my own work. So I'd be like, sí, señor. So that was when I was like, shoot, I don't know if am I Chinese, Asian, Pacific Islander, or Mexican? Because apparently some people back then had a tan too, because I worked out in the sun. Or back then we didn't have a lot of video games, and the video games I had were like a Nintendo NS. So when I couldn't afford to upgrade to like the Nintendo 64 or whatever it was, everyone had better PlayStation stuff like that. I don't think they had PlayStation at that time. But people would upgrade, and I would have a regular Nintendo NES, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and all that, and so I didn't ever played it. I was always outside. Nowadays kids don't go outside; they're so lazy. I don't know, but that's the difference between now and versus the generation that I grew up in. A lot has changed in reality. But that was my second identity crisis, and then probably my third identity crisis or culture shock, you would say, is college. You go to K-State, Manhattan, and you're like, man, there's a lot of white people here. What is going on? And that's where my English got really, really good. Hanging out with white people, your English gets really, really good. And then at that point, my Asian friends were like, man, Ben, you're like a banana, yo. I'm like, what's that? Yellow on the outside, white on the inside. And I'm like, that's kind of funny, but that's not funny. So throughout my life, I've been called all sorts of stuff. And so bottom line is, thank you guys for accepting me for who I am, confused Pacific Islander, Vietnamese American, whatever, that speaks proper English most of the time, not always, and has stuff like this. Chinese letters and English words, and you're Vietnamese. So that's how confused I am. I'm still confused to this day. Thank you. All right, so I'm leaving. Peace out.